Hello, bonjour, bienvenidos, benvenuti, welcome to the Music Polyglot channel. This being the Music Polyglot channel, you'll find good quality subtitles down there. This is our third video on the Economics of Music series. Today, we are going to conclude our discussion on the value and price of music. We'll explore NFTs, what they are, and how they're going to change music as much as the internet did in the late 90s. Yes, really. On our two previous videos, we explored how the price of music has gone to zero, even if its value hasn't. But how perhaps the value of music was affected by its collapse in price. We also explored why selling music is difficult, perhaps impossible, in the digital age. If you missed those videos, here's a link to the first one so you can start watching this series from the beginning on a new tab after finishing this one. NFT, non-fungible token. Okay, so let's unwrap that backwards. Start with token. A token is something, often an object, that represents something else. If you go to a casino, you buy chips. Those are tokens that represent a certain amount of money. Another example could be if you leave your blazer at the dry cleaners, they give you a receipt so that they can find your blazer when you come collect it later. Well, that receipt is a token. It represents your blazer. Fungible means that any two of the same kind are interchangeable. In the example of our casino chips, for example, say all the green chips are worth 100 euros. No one cares which green chip is used because they're all the same. They're all worth 100 euros. They're interchangeable. They are fungible tokens. Non-fungible would be the opposite. In our dry cleaners example, the one you get for your blazer is not the same that I'll get for my tuxedo, let's say. We can't just freely exchange them because they don't represent the same thing. Dry cleaner receipts are non-fungible tokens. They really could have come up with a cooler name, hey? But that's what happens when you leave decisions to computer scientists. So NFTs are nothing new, but they're digital, and that makes them revolutionary. Do you remember what the whole problem with music in the digital age was? That it's no longer scarce. You can replicate a music file instantly, and that's a feature of everything that's digital. It's instantly replicable. Copy, paste. And those copies are fungible, which means that one is the same as the other. Well, NFTs introduce fungibility to the digital space. They allow you to have one-of-a-kind digital files. Okay, still with me? Good, because this is the part where I'm going to get just a little bit technical, okay? So, full attention. NFTs are not the digital files. NFTs are contracts. Just like your laundry receipt, which is an analog NFT, the receipt is not your suit. It's proof that the suit is yours. Same thing with an NFT. It's proof that the digital file belongs to you. But I can still replicate the file and it's the same as the one with the NFT, right? Well, yeah, but is it the same though? Think of the Mona Lisa. There are perfect replicas and they're indistinguishable from the one Leonardo painted in the early 1500s. But which one is worth more to you? An identical copy or the original? And why? Well, because it's the original, right? If I create a piece of digital art and I stamp it with an authenticity seal in the form of an NFT, you can copy the art, but you can't copy the NFT. So you have a copy and I have the original. But why can't you copy the NFT if it's also digital? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this is where the value comes from. NFTs are contracts, as we said, but they live on a blockchain. You've heard of blockchains before, but here's a quick reminder. A blockchain is a chain of blocks. Blocks that are made up of ledger entries. One ledger can say, this contract gives ownership of the digital Mona Lisa that I've just created. Okay, I'm oversimplifying, but you get the idea. There will be other ledgers after mine, and after a certain number of ledgers, they'll get wrapped as a block and published after the previous block, forming a chain of blocks. A blockchain. This blockchain is open and public. I can look it up and check every single ledger if I want, and you can do the same. But I can't change anything. Once a block has been published, it's immutable and unhackable. You can't change it. You can only add another ledger to the blockchain. On the Bitcoin blockchain, for example, if I send you 1 Bitcoin, I wish, the transaction is validated and then published on the blockchain so that everyone can go and see that I've sent you a Bitcoin and that therefore you own it now. Same with an NFT. You have proof that you own the digital file and that anything else is a copy. Now, since an NFT is a contract, can't I make the contract say whatever I want? Yes, yes you can, my dear friend. Yes you can, and that's where things get interesting. NFTs are in their infancy, and we have barely scratched the surface of what they can do. Some musicians have tied them to concert tickets. Kings of Leon, for example, released NFTs of their new album, one of which holds the right to front row seats at future concerts. Say you buy that NFT today, and next year Kings of Leon tour Asia for 6 months. Perhaps that NFT is going to be worth a lot more to our hardcore fan in Asia than what you paid for it a couple of days ago. So you can sell it on if you want. Then some other bands have tied NFTs to physical things like vinyls and, things like that. But to be honest with you, I think that completely misses the point. But musicians are creative. And as the technological possibilities are better understood, I have no doubt that we'll find a completely new, decentralized way of interacting with audiences and selling, or at least monetizing music better. Imagine for a second that I release an album. And like in the good old days, I set a release day and create some hype around it, make it an event. Maybe with an online streamed free concert on Twitch, or perhaps a premiere audition of the album on Spotify or my own website, with the band commenting on every track as it gets played for the first time. Now imagine that the album is limited to 10,000 copies, each one an NFT. So each copy is unique, and it comes with a cool piece of visual art that you can display on your screen or in a digital photo frame. It could even be customizable. On top of that, the NFT grants you access to an exclusive mega fan club site where only the other NFT holders have access to, where the band comes in and says hi from time to time, or release rehearsal footage, for example, backstage streams, or come in for an impromptu jam on a random Saturday night. That's interesting, and I'd be up for that if the price is right. One objection to the value of what I just described could be, yeah, that's nice, but that's still using scarce things like access to an exclusive club in order to sell non-scarce things like music files or digital art. And I would wholly agree with you, and therefore conclude that the potential and value for the actual music here is limited still. But maybe in the not so distant future, imagine I release a song and I don't upload it to any streaming service, but I'm able to lock the master onto a blockchain and let anyone who wants a copy mint it themselves by paying the price. Every minted copy is unique and authenticated, and no copies exist other than the ones minted from the original master, that it's locked on the blockchain so I can't make any other copies. What if this practice was widespread enough so that NFT players were available. So you can only play NFT songs on an NFT player, not on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube. Now that'd be scarce. If you're Radiohead, for example, you wouldn't need to say, hey, come and pay whatever you want. You would only need to say, hey, new music, whoever wants it, come and get it. Perhaps some of those who download it in rainbows from BitTorrent for free will find themselves happily paying for something that they can't own any other way. And perhaps they'll feel a closer connection to the music as proud owners of one of the original mints. Perhaps that feeling is so good that millions of music fans are NFT collectors and have a very close relationship to their favorite artists through the NFTs they own. I don't know about you, but I find that at least interesting. And in any case, I'm sure that in the next few years, NFTs will revolutionize the music industry forever. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed our discussion, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that YouTube notifies you when a new video comes up. Thank you for staying till the end, and I'll see you next time. Hasta la próxima, arrivederci, au revoir.